What's going on, guys? So today on this SHOKY third-party Transformers review, we're going to be taking a look at something new-ish, because it's probably one of the last things it came out with, and it is the Planet X PX-20 VEJOVIS, or the War for Cybertron, or Fall of Cybertron Ratchet. Now, of course, we looked at Ironhide before. If you didn't see that review for some reason, well, it's probably going to be up there if I remember to do it. Hopefully, while I'm editing, I'll make that note. Now, if you wonder, what the heck is VEJOVIS? That's actually another god. Go look it up. It's a little bit weird. It's very obscure. Sometimes related to Jupiter, or Little Jupiter, or Anti-Jupiter. It's weird. I don't know. But either way, so new Planet X box, much smaller than everything else. You got the image of the figure there holding a weapon. I don't remember exactly what that weapon is. You'd think I would look these things up. Hopefully I looked it up and I put it down here on the bottom of the screen. You got 16 plus up there in the corner, but hey, I'm right in the middle of that. And come to the bottom and you get to see all that stuff. And come over here, you got an image of the vehicle mode from above. VEJOVIS, Planet X. Come to the back, you got vehicle mode and then a cool attack formation there. Actually, that's a nice way to hold that. Too bad these things don't actually glow. Warning, all things. QR code. I don't know what that code is. Made in China, 2019. Oh no. And then come over here. It's pop mode top there. Yeah, and he's got a thing. Now I did pick it up at BBTS, just like I did Ironhide. They are still on sale. You can get both of them for the price of one. Don't sleep on it if you want these figures. It's the cheapest you're probably ever going to find them. So, get them if you want them. I did. Now, in the box, you do get the instructions, along with some nice images there. I've already seen these, but it is what it is. The important thing, in fact, is the instructions on how to assemble the weapon, because as my patrons should know if they actually watch my out-the-box review, which, as far as I can tell, they didn't. I actually assembled the weapon on camera, so that was interesting. So now we actually have to put our own stuff together. Thanks, Planet X. But I find this funny. So this actually tells you a little bit different on how to do it, not to do the front bumper until you get the rear done. I mean, okay. Oh yeah, make sure you get this to exactly 53 degrees or it won't work. It's so silly, but it's nice little instructions. I will say they're much easier to follow than the old ones, not printed on a gray background where you can't really see anything. But also just weird. I don't know. I mean, my instructions weren't that bad, let's just be honest. Better this time around. If you go watch the Taro video, go watch the Taro video if you want to see how to get him into vehicle mode before we go much further into this. It'll be linked up above, or just go over to the secondary channel. That's where I upload the Taro videos if you want to see how to get them from bot mode to vehicle mode. By the way, here's his character card, VEJOVIS PX-20, same box art. And then you got strength, intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, fire blast, skill. Should have pretty high skill, decent endurance. Either way, let's go. And we got VEJOVIS here in his little, I want to call it like a pig car. Kind of looks like a pig snout, you know, it's a little short, stubby. Yeah, so he's essentially the same mold as Ironhide. I don't even think there's a difference in vehicle mode at all. I know a good way to find out. We'll just pull them out here. Now, there is a slight difference. And I mean slight, because it's only one that's noticeable because he's white. I didn't realize that the windshield is actually red plastic, not black, because it looks super black. In fact, no, it is red. Oh, I really thought that was black painted. It is actually red translucent. I didn't realize it until I got Ratchet because it stands out. But from what I can tell, there's no mold difference, just paint differences. Obviously, blacks all generally stay the same except for right here. This area is silver. This area is red. Pink. The Cybertron, or I'm sorry, areas are all the same. Why couldn't they paint these gloss instead of matte? If it's supposed to be a continuation of the window, I don't get that. His wheels are a different color, and his bumpers and all the gray plastics are all a different color. So that's something. And I will also point out that these guys clearly don't paint these while they're assembled, or else you wouldn't end up with gaps. So that part sucks. But hey, as a Gunpla builder, I completely understand. And then you sort of get a little bit more standout-ishness there on that. I gotta wonder if that's the same red, but it's just painted over white, so it looks brighter. I assume so, because it makes sense. Now, I did add a repro label right there, because I couldn't figure out a better place to put it, and since they basically are the same, why not? And for some reason, if you need a size reference, there's our Wally friend. I love referencing Wally for this because you guys have no idea how big Wally is. He's just, that's a Wally. Or if you really want a different reference, here's a Samsung USB plug for power purposes. So there's a reference that 90% of the audience probably understands. So, yeah, that's it. Now, I'm going to skip the transformation. If you want to know how to get into bot mode, go ahead and watch the Ironhide review. I don't think there's a reason to show the same mold being transformed again. Plus, it's a struggle, and you guys hate watching long videos. Or just watch the Taro video in reverse. You could totally do that too. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually true. So I'm going to transform him. I'm going to transform Mr. Hide of Iron, and we'll get to it. And back. Okay. My foot went to sleep. So, actually, it wasn't too difficult to transform him back. He's actually still slightly easier than Ironhide. He doesn't have a lot of the frozen shoulder issues there, but let's look at this cool head sculpt. Oh, hey, Thumb, what are you doing? Some nice painted silver blue eyes. I dig that. And I like how they molded in like a beard. And also this is that other type of Ratchet head with the red and white crest instead of inverted. So it's interesting. I wonder if anybody would ever swap it. I know in-game it's what he looked like. And by the way, I'll bring up the image of just an art rendering, not a game actual render. So they did really good. Now the only thing is they didn't add the little bump out right here for the Autobot logo, and that's why it's sort of here instead of there where it kind of should be. But one thing that is neat, this is where we start seeing the only real remolded parts, and that's this entire chest section here is totally new. And then the two shoulder plates right here with the little like heartbeat things there, or just frequencies, whatever you want to call them. Let's see here. Now he does still have some of this weird articulation issues just due to how everything sort of binds up and the diagonal cut leg. I know most of them do, but it's a little bit weird. So this is diagonal cut, but he does actually function there, and it does rotate here, but then it's also mounted diagonally there. It's a little strange. So just articulation wise, let's just do it. So head is on a ball joint, and then down there on a hinge, so he can come back that far. He can rotate it all the way around. There's a nice back of his head, similar to Ironhide, but without the light piping. So they changed it. One thing is, this piece here that is generally not flipped up from the factory, it's just this translucent fill-in piece for some reason. You know, I wish they just made that body color so it's less obvious that there's a huge gap behind the head. Same thing with the shoulders. It does have an upward butterfly, which is super tight and, of course, knocks that part out of the way. So while you can utilize it, it does screw things up. You can rotate at the shoulder, but you have to be like super clear of things. And you can see this little peg hit everything along the way. You do have the little springy bit here for the side. He does look a bit less hollow for some reason than Ironhide. I don't know why that is. It just is. And it does hinge here as well as there. So it is what it is. And if you need to, you can utilize the bumper for clearance. Kind of. If you want to extend that out a little bit, you can kind of get a little bit more out of the pose. In a way, it's silly, but it works. So that actually drops in and down on a peg. You got bicep rotation, except you can't go too far back. The wheel does hit. I mentioned in the Ironhide review, it would be nice if the wheel was on a hinge that would just kind of tuck it back a little bit into the wheel well. That'd be great, because the single jointed elbow hits right there. If this was turned back, likely it would clear it. Just some kind of thing they could engineer. Now it does have wrist rotation, flappy open fingers, so he's got going on. One problem I have is this tab just kind of pointless, just sort of loose. This one's even worse. This wrist is just worst in general. You get rotation at the waist, no kind of ab crunch or anything like that, but he does have translucent abs. Look at that. Pretty cool, actually. Like, I had him set up by the lamp in the living room for the longest time because the light is coming in from behind and actually making that glow. So it does look pretty sweet, if I'm honest. It's fine. It's fine. Black paint here on the little arm pistons. That's such a Gundam thing. It's pretty funny. I already talked about the legs, so you can kick to about there. These front skirts are just kind of pointless, so I almost wish they weren't there at all, to be totally honest. So you can get a good chorus line and not a very good Jean-Claude. That sounded like a Ratchet, but it wasn't. In fact, I don't think he has any ratchets whatsoever. So I fully anticipate him falling over at some point. You get a single jointed knee that isn't worth a damn until you come up here and unplug it, and then you can get it almost to 90, maybe a little bit better. There we go. So you can get him in a full soccer kick, like he's just about to do a kickoff there. Or whatever it's called. Like maybe he's swinging for a goal. You do have this issue still, just the way this moves about. And I hate that that's just a simple little pin there. Screwed on this end, pinned on that side. But, you know, it's one of those things that if you needed to get more foot articulation out, you would have to move that like up and out the way. And then, like, I kind of dig it as thigh armor, but it is what it is. This allows you to see inside here to how the foot works. It doesn't. It's like foot transforms, that's about it. So you get the pivot here for the ankle, you do get rotation, and then you get some slight toe articulation, and then weird translucent parts that are under there that honestly, even in vehicle mode, you really don't see. But he can pose okay. You know, he's exactly the same as Ironhide, who is here. But, you know, what's funny is Ironhide looks younger, if that makes any sense. Like, I guess the way they build out the fake beard sort of gives him some age. And, of course, there's always the implication that even though they're the same model, so to speak, are based on the same model type, that Ratchet is definitely older, more experienced, grumpier in some instances. I'm trying to say they should be about the same height, but due to the remolding of the chest and the new head, Ratchet's actually a little bit bigger. That's pretty neat, not gonna lie. The red, white, and black automatically speaks to me. Those are like my colors, especially with white as a primary. And then you can really see the differences here, all in this area. Everything else, identical. And I found out through having a mishap earlier in transformation, these bottom plates pop off. Like, they're just plugged in. I don't want to yank that off too hard. But yeah, it just pops off. So I could technically put those on Ironhide if I want to. So these two look really good together. I'll probably have them in the thumbnail together. Haven't decided on the thumbnail just yet. And here they are with primer armor. So roughly the same size, even though that's kind of weird because Prime should be bigger and he's not. Now mind you, he's standing back a little far, but Prime's not that big in this iteration. Now mind you, he's a fresh Prime. He was Optimus, but he wasn't full on a Prime until after, or in War for Cybertron, he became a Prime. Now these are Ironhide's weapons, if you remember, like the little like SMG kind of. So he holds that, and then his axe. I took him out obviously for transformational purposes. So obviously Ironhide being the more warrior, you know, type person, he gets the weapons. But Ratchet is not without his own weapon, and of course you get to assemble this. I can't remember exactly what this is. I keep thinking it's the spark extractor. Hopefully I put it down here in the or on the screen, so because I need to look it up. I remember there was a lot of really cool weapons, and it took way too long to finally get them. Like Prime's arm cannon isn't just his cannon; that's actually one that's just in the game. I don't recall a submachine gun, but I bet there was one. I don't know if that's modeled after an in-game thing. I know the weapons that Perceptor uses, like the sniper, the big machine gun, same thing for the Seekers, a lot of their weapons, all those are pretty much in-game. And, you know, they're not individual weapons for the most part. You can just pick stuff up and use it. But it's interesting. Got the nice red translucent things here that are just plugged in down here. You do have to assemble the front section here. This is already assembled back here. The molding is nice, but that's the only paint is just right up here on the business end. But yeah, and you can put it in his hand. But it kind of looks dumb, if I'm totally honest. And I was having a problem at first. I don't know if he's going to do it on camera. Probably not. But I put it in his hand, and then it would just kind of either droop, because there's a lot of weight way out front, or the wrist would give out. The wrist seems to be holding for now. But I wanted to show off something neat. And this is how I'm going to actually display him. So you can take these apart, because it is assemblable. And you actually get a much smaller gun with this really neat translucent part here. Now this doesn't light up in any way, but it really does look like it should, doesn't it? I mean, that's even the same kind of pattern they use on things that are LED powered. And like, it almost looks like that's an LED in there, but there's no switch, there's no nothing. So it's not even the first time that they've done that. It also looks like this could be the basis for another weapon, because you got a whole section back here looks like you could plug in. Now, I'm going to use this as a thing, as a separate gun entirely, or maybe even close to like something. Oh, okay, so it's that wrist that's really bad for it. Gotta tilt that up. Now the cool thing is you still have this neat section. The one thing I've always complained about with Planet X since they did Prime, nobody else's weapons become their arm, which is a thing that happened in the game. Prime's is the only one that has the arm cannon gimmick until we get to this, because if you look, the hole in here is actually shaped a certain way. Now, that is partially to fit over that. However, you can, in fact, if you find the right orientation, oop, that fell off way too easy, which means that was not the right orientation. You can actually plug that right over the hand, and I mean, it is a good fit. Like, obviously the one direction was a super smooth fit, so that wasn't handling. So this actually, oh yeah, that actually felt some purchase there. Yeah, so you can actually get a hand transformation out of that. I digs it. And if that is like a spark extractor, that's pretty cool. Why is it not staying on now? There's no mold issues there. Let's turn it this way. Like I said, it might be just the direction I had it. The one thing that's weird is about these plugs here, so they just run into stuff. Okay, so that's wedged on there pretty good that way. Okay, so just find the way that works for you so that it's wedged in there nicely against the thumb. And that's how I'm going to have mine, with it actually attached to his hand. I think that's pretty awesome. But plus it gives him 2 weapons. Virtually every single character comes with a minimum of 2 weapons. So the fact they gave him only 1 weapon, that's just an end quote there. So there he is. That's pretty cool. And once again, this is just a random repo label, 3-dimensional one that I had laying around because I just want them all to sort of match now, even if there is no repo label set for Ratchet or Ironhide, or even Prime for that matter. It's been years. They still don't have one. I don't know what's going on with that. But there we go. That's the end of this mold, unless they plan on doing some other repaints like they did a G2 version of I said Dinobot, of Grimlock. So maybe they'll give us some other variations down the line, Diaclone colors or something like that. Give us a Ratchet with a different head, something like that. I don't know. You know, out of the game, they just had custom recolors. Guys, if you give it a big thumbs up if you like this video. By the way, I forgot to mention it if I didn't in this video already. BBTS still has these 2 on sale for essentially the price of 1. So about 90 bucks for both. So go grab them while they're still there. They're currently on quote-unquote pre-order, again, for the next ones that come in, but they're still on sale at that price. If you want these in your collection, you were putting them off because they were 90 bucks a piece, go get them. I paid full price for him. I paid half price for him. You can buy them together. So go do that. Like I said, like, subscribe, do all the things. Go check out the Taro video if you did not and you want to see how he transforms into car mode. You know, it is what it is. But I'll see you next time. And remember, as always, keep on nerding.